seersucker on a hot summer day. Coffee comes back in a nerve-wracking way. The dishes and laundry take the garbage out. What a day, what a day, what a day.
Welcome to Capital Region Today. I'm so happy that you're joining us today. We have a great lineup. Oh my goodness, so many great things are going on in our community, as well as just this summer has been wonderful as far as getting outside and knowing that we're kind of getting a lot of fresh air so that we can move around easily and not worry too much. But again, the BA5 is out there. That's that new strain of COVID or the coronavirus. And so just be careful because it seems to be ramping up a little bit, and it's a little bit more contagious than the other ones. So be careful. I mean, it isn't over yet. So, but let me tell you who's coming on the show this week. We're going to be talking about Northeast Ballet, and oh my goodness, they're going to be talking about the Nutcracker. Every Christmas they do the Nutcracker. Here we are in July. We talk about Christmas in July. We're going to be talking about the Nutcracker, and then we're going to be talking with our one of our favorite authors here, and he's going to be talking about his book. But we're going to talk about the pitfalls of publishing as well. Then we're going to be talking about the Community Loan Fund. They have a program coming up, a six-week program, I believe it is. Well, they'll fill us in on the details on Childcare, and we'll learn about that. And then, my goodness, Five Rivers in Delmar. What an amazing place that is. We're going to learn more about that and why you should be visiting it this summer, or all year round, actually. And then we're going to learn about the Appalachian Trail, what they call trail magic. Well, what is trail magic? You're going to find out because we have a trail angel on the show. So we'll find out about that. We're going to start right out with our first guest, Darlene Myers. She is with the Northeast Ballet and the Myers Ballet Dance Company. And we're going to learn a little bit more about the auditions. And she even brought a costume. What do you have there?
What do I have here?
What do you have there?
First of all, thank you, Anne.
Yes, Darlene, it's good to see you. Yes.
Yes. This is one of our costumes. We have about, over 1,000 costumes, actually.
Where do you keep them all?
We keep them
You have a big garage?
No, we don't. We don't have a big garage. We're working right now at 418 Liberty Street, which is part of the SLOC campus. Mm-hmm. We have 3 studios there right now.
Right, in the education center up on the top floors?
Yes,
Yeah.
and 3 studios and 2 wardrobe areas. And in the 2 wardrobe areas, we have probably right now, when Nutcracker is in swing, when we get our cast together, which is usually about between 100 and 150 dancers.
What a wonderful opportunity for
It is.
dancers.
It really is. All of our wardrobe people, I call them our wardrobe wizards, all volunteer people from the community.
You're all volunteers.
Yes, which is the reason why I brought this gorgeous piece. Do all this beading and all of the decorations by hand. So this is a shout out for anyone who would like to volunteer to come and work with the company.
This is amazing.
It's wonderful. And
I'm looking at the jewel. I mean, I wouldn't even know how to do that. It's glued on, I guess. Glued on.
Some of this is sewn on by hand because it has to be. And some of these are yes, glued on, but it's very delicate work, of course. And with the supply issues these days.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
We've heard about that. Yeah, everybody's complaining,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's your car dealership or whatever.
Jewels, point shoes are another issue for us, for the company. We had such an issue last year for our Nutcracker, for you guys, for Proctor's. Point shoes were an issue because people don't realize that all the materials in point shoes, glue, cardboard, satin, all of that was an issue. So we managed our performance for Proctor's, and we were very happy to do it, to be back on the stage.
I guess I never thought that you would be affected by the supply chain, because you always think, it's the parts for the, this or that, or the computer parts, or the,
Right.
or your washing machine, I don't know. But I never think about this.
Right. There's a lot that goes into making a production, and we're so happy to be, it's maybe 35 years that we've
You've been around,
so
yeah.
lucky to be at Proctor's to do our annual Nutcracker. And I have to.
It's a tradition.
It's a tradition, and I have to have a shout out to Philip Morris for being so supportive and making it happen for us last year, because he and I have been on the phone so many times last year. Well, should we do it? Should we not do it?
Yeah, I
Is
know.
COVID going to
Well,
happen? Is not.
yeah.
And it was just really very hard. And with the supply chain, it was very difficult. But our volunteers did make it happen. And this was
The
just
amazing
one.
thing to me, the amazing thing, is that I'm sitting in the 40th row back, and look at the detail
Yeah.
on this. I mean, it's not like you just said, well, it'll be okay. It looks like you could go to the ball with this.
Yeah, well, yeah, we used to do Cinderella, speaking
Yeah.
of a ball, but yes, yeah, you could. And there's just a lot of them, because there's so many variations in Nutcracker, and there's so many.
Well, you have the mice, and you have, I mean, there's
And
so many.
Act One, party scene, the gowns,
Yeah, yeah.
the late 1800s, all of that, yeah. There's a lot that goes into it.
Amazing. So
Yes.
what are you looking for when you're having your auditions? And when the auditions are coming up in July, aren't they?
September 17th.
Oh, that's right, September 17th.
At the GE Theater here, yes. And we're looking for, some fresh faces and children.
You don't care
age-
what ballet company they're with?
Oh, I don't care. As long as I have a little bit of training, even if they don't.
They can be the mice.
They could be the mice. As long as they want to perform and they're dedicated to that. That's
And
really what we're
rehearsals,
looking-
and rehearsals.
That's what we're looking for, is the dedication to the commitment, because it is a commitment. After auditions, we really start the first week in October, and we go to the first week in December, which is our performances here. So it depends on the role you get. If you get to be a flower, it's twice a week or more. If you're a mouse, it's once a week. So it depends on what role you get as far as your commitment goes, but we're really looking for the commitment and the desire to perform and entertain the audience.
So when we see the Russian ballet and the different ballets within that, those come from New York City, or are they local? I mean, because I know you do have star performers coming.
We do. We've been very fortunate. When I started my company here, when Gloria Lemaire she's passed since, when I started in 1990, she asked me to come and do a Nutcracker, and I said, oh, well, okay, because I had come home from my
Deep
career.
breath, yeah,
Yes.
deep breath.
I had done Nutcracker in Philadelphia when I was a professional dancer there, and I said, okay, well, we'll try this, and this whole thing had blossomed. And
Took on a life, huh?
of its own. I don't have a life after September 17th, no. And so it has grown and grown and grown, but I wanted to have as our lead dancers from New York City Ballet. And I've been able to do that every year. So it has elevated our production every year, and we've been very happy, because I've always my training was Balanchine.
Which is a little different. I mean, it all depends, right?
It all depends.
Yeah.
So a lot of, the upper level variations lean towards that, but not always. This past year with the pandemic, I had to re-choreograph 5 variations because we didn't have the dancers.
Yeah.
Because of the pandemic, So every year it's different. Every year Nutcracker is different. It's not the same. People think it's the same. No.
It's different. Yeah. I was going to ask you if they are in your dance classes, are they guaranteed a spot?
Oh, no, that's a problem. My school is
That,
not.
I mean,
yeah,
because
that's a
that, I mean, you
problem.
have to think about that, because you go, well, okay, I can be in if I'm in the dance class, but you don't want to be, you don't want to do that. You want to do an audition, a clean audition.
Right. It's a double-edged sword. It is. And yes, our training is the school. Yes, that's true. But we want people from outside the school. It makes it richer.
Exactly.
It makes it richer. It's very important.
Yeah.
It's very important to the community to have that. And, we've had disgruntled, children, parents who have been in my school who didn't get a
She
role.
wanted a part in that. I said,
I'm
I'm sorry,
in the
but I had
school,
10
and I
others
said,
that were.
Well, maybe you need more training, and maybe
Yeah.
you didn't fit the role, and there are reasons.
Yeah, yeah.
There are
Because there's just so many roles for certain ages in
Exactly. Exactly. Maybe you're not ready.
that. Yeah.
So there are all sorts of reasons for roles.
Well, it's going to be exciting because I think that the Nutcracker every year. I mean, it's like I know when my grandkids were smaller. I mean, it was like they couldn't miss that. Now, whether they're still doing it, I don't know. As adults, in their 30s or late 20s, are they still doing it? I don't know. But I think if they have children, they're going to start doing it.
Well, we have a lot of adults in the community who are, some of them are ballroom dancers who want to be in Act One, which is fabulous, They don't have to be ballet dancers, and a lot of
Oh,
the
we have a big
dancers,
ballroom community.
and that's fun for them. It's like a party, because
Yeah.
it's party scene, and it's on Friday night, and then they go out and have a party
Yeah,
by
yeah,
themselves
yeah,
after
yeah.
rehearsal, and a lot of the people who've been in Nutcracker, Richard Gadd is an example. He's on Broadway right now. He was in Nutcracker for years,
Isn't that
and
amazing?
he's doing Music Man.
Are you just doing this one performance?
We're doing two. We're
Two.
doing Saturday night, and then
A
Sunday
matinee,
matinee.
usually a matinee, so the kids.
Yeah.
And I love it when I've ushered there and the kids come in almost in their own costumes.
Oh, yeah, they dress up.
They wear the red and the red
Yeah.
dresses and the white. I mean, it's like it takes my breath away to see these little kids come in looking so well.
It starts the holiday season.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for making our holiday season in our community such an enriched one, because the Nutcracker is just got to be seen by everybody, and it's just a way to expose your kids to a new art form. It's not hip hop; it's going to be ballet.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
So,
right.
thanks so much for being here.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes,
for
and
the
I
opp-
love your dress.
Oh,
Well, I bet you wore some pretty fancy ones when you were
oh, those days. Yes,
in
I
those
did.
days. That's okay. Those days may come back. You never know.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Darlene. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. I want to switch over to an author. He's been on before. And one of the reasons he's coming on is we've talked about, the challenges of writing a book. And he did write a book. It's called I Know This Looks Bad. And it doesn't really look bad when you read it, because the little stories in it are wonderful. Little vignettes, I guess I would call those, are wonderful. They make you laugh, and some are serious. You have a little bit of everything.
Sure.
What was it like to write a book like this and get it published? And do you have to do any vetting? Tell me
Oh,
about
God,
it.
it was horrific. It was dreadful. I don't recommend it. No, actually, the reason I'm here is actually to encourage people. How many times have you heard people say, oh, I could write a book? Well, now they can. There's very easy ways to do that very thing. And I'd like us to chat about that.
Yeah, Amazon has a system of doing it as well.
Well, yeah, and so to my mind, and this is self-published, my book, which I just sold the movie rights for, by the way. Yeah.
Get out.
I did, yeah. Unfortunately, I sold them to Blockbuster Video, so it's not going to come to anything. But anyway, there's the Goldilocks approach to getting a book out. And so one way is too hot. And the way that's too hot is for you to find an agent and then find a proper publisher.
And you're not James Patterson, so
Right,
you're
I
not
want
gonna-
my book to come out in my lifetime, right?
Yeah.
And so one is too cold, and the too cold is to write a manuscript and send it around to all your pals and family. But for me, and maybe for viewers, the just right version was to go to a self-publishing house. And in our area, we have two that are really terrific. One is Troy Bookmakers, who do a masterful job, and the group I went with out of Rhinebeck called Epigraph Press. And so,
And this is a nice hardcover book.
yeah, well, it's all proper, it's got all the
Yeah.
dust jacket and everything. And the beauty of that is, for example, Epigraph, I have one contact. He came up with a look and feel to the book that I would never have imagined. And so they're not the low-cost provider, but they are enormous, you get enormous value for money out of these guys. And so,
And that's important.
oh, absolutely, yeah. And so I encourage people, and there are a lot of good reasons to do this, right? One is for your legacy, for your family, to capture family stories and all that sort of thing. Another is to sort of recount what you went through in life. And I got some very good advice one time from a guy called Frank Mankiewicz, who was the brother of Herman Mankiewicz, the famous screenwriter. And Frank said to me, look, you've got all the facts, Now the question is, can you write it elegantly? He didn't mean grandly. He meant, can you connect with the reader? Can you get your message across in a way that, and that's really good advice, I think. And so I think most people can tell a good story, and if they record that good story, right, and then they have it transcribed, and they start to tinker with it, well, now they're writers. And so I encourage people to do that because I have a friend, Lolly Davidson, who's a great novelist. She has a book out called Against the Grain. And she says that writing a book makes you interact with the world more richly. And she's right, because you have to be more observant, right? You have to be more sort of on about,
You have to write for the reader.
Well, exactly right.
You
Yeah,
write
exactly
for the
right.
reader, not
Right.
for what you're expounding. I mean, it's like, there's somebody that's reading this. How are they going to relate to that?
Right, and effectively you're in their head, right? So the word choice, the tone, the point you're trying to make, you're in their head through that book, and that really is important. And
I
think
know that when I write, whether it's for a story or something, or just writing a letter or something, I usually get it out there. I put it down first, and then I tinker with it, because I got my ideas down, and then I have to change the order of sentences, maybe change a word or two, change the punctuation. But you've got to get it out first, or else you lose it.
Absolutely right. And what you're describing is exactly the right way to go about it. A lot of young writers, and I'm formerly young, way formerly young, a long time ago I was young. But what they do is they write something down and they say, oh, I've done it. It's glorious. See that? Look at that. It's on the page. But what you're describing is exactly the right way to go, which is to tinker with it, I don't like that word, I'll try this word over here. And it becomes fun. It becomes great fun.
And you look for, sometimes you have to get the thesaurus out just to kind of think of different words to use that would express it even maybe better than what you have written down already.
Right, so I think for people who aren't used to writing a lot, and I was a speechwriter, so it was kind of second nature to me, but it does enforce a little discipline, right? You do have to say, okay, how am I going to make that sentence clearer? Or I don't think I've really made the point I want to make here.
You have to be a self-critique, because
Exactly right.
that's a hard thing to do,
Right.
because you don't want to condemn what you've already done. You go, I've got it done and it's done.
Right.
But you have to go back and read it from a reader's point of view.
Exactly right. And I think for me, like a civilian, this book is largely, some of it's comic, some of it's some nice stuff about my family too.
Yeah, I love your book, by the way.
Oh, thank you, that's very
Yeah.
kind. And so, but I think to your family, to your generations that are going to come after, it's a nice gift to give people. And it takes a lot of work, and it's some money involved. But what other wonderful gift could you give them?
You can't.
Yeah.
Now, have you written another one, or is this it?
Every time I suggest another book, my wife Lisa Oliver gets up and walks out of the room very quietly. So I don't know if another book is.
Yeah, have you thought about writing, because these are little vignettes, which are wonderful, and I love the photos that you've put in there. Those are amazing. The collection you must have to be able to have found them all.
Yeah, it was enormous fun, and as I said, at the top here, you interact with the world more richly when you do something like this.
Absolutely.
And so, it's a hobby, but it's enormously
How long did it take you to write this? Just to give people idea, because I know, as you know, you and I have talked about, I was kind of working on a book and then abandoned it because somebody had written a book just like it. It's like, well, I can't write the same. They're going to think I plagiarized.
Said to you, once you get that Amarillo charm going, I urge you to go back to that book, because you're going to write something different.
Well, I think I would write different than,
And so it took a very long time. And I'm not going to monkey around here. There's an enormous amount of proofreading and structure, and it takes a lot of effort. But when you get it done and somebody says something nice about it, about my book, as you have, that's all I need.
And you've been going on tour with Rich Lovrich, I understand, because he's had a very bad day with his book.
Exactly right. Yeah, in fact, this Saturday, he and I are going to be in Terrytown, New York, at the Warner Library. So if you're anywhere near there, Terrytown, New York, come on over at 2:30 on Saturday.
And you're going to be talking about both your books.
Yeah, I'm talking about books and the experiences we've had writing. He's self-published as well.
Would Rich have given the same story that you had as far as the struggles and stuff?
I think he's got such a much more creative mind than I do. I think he's going to be much cleverer at telling what happened, but I know he's at work on a second book.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I'm going to have him on the show, I think, next month.
Oh,
so,
good.
Yeah, so
Good.
we're going to be talking about something different, but I'll poke around.
Yeah, he's just got this magnificent gift for innovation.
He is. He's
and his book is called Have a Very Bad Day.
Yeah.
And so if you're looking for something really innovative and clever, have a very bad day.
And he did a really good job on it. It's sort of the same style that you did with these
Yeah.
little kind of pieces.
Yeah, the difference is my book has big words and colored photos. So you get that.
I'm going to tell Rich that when I see him. Can you put bigger words in when you do? More than 2 syllables?
Exactly right. Exactly right. But anyway, he and I are going on tour doing this stuff.
Yeah, no, I know you have been doing it together. You were up in Saratoga, I think you.
Yeah, we're at with the North Shire,
Yeah.
so you say in America, library or bookshop, and then at the Saratoga Library. It's
Yeah,
another place.
but get the word out because, the thing that I know that everybody talks about, oh, you mean you don't download books? You don't, it's like, I want to hold a book. I'm
Right,
one of these
right.
holders.
Right.
I like to have a bookmark in it. I like to be able to pick it up wherever I
Right.
want. I don't want to do this thing, with
Yeah.
my, so.
Now, you had mentioned Amazon and
Yeah, Amazon is another one. I think you can upload it and then they just print what you need or something.
well, yeah, but at least I looked at all that stuff.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not saying it's the best thing. I just know
It's
of
a way
it.
to go, right?
I know of
It's
it.
a very good, efficient way to go.
Yeah.
I went with Epigraph, who were really involved and held my hand along the way. And if
And
you're doing
sometimes
this
you need it if you're first one.
first time, right? Exactly right.
Yeah, yeah.
But I urge everybody to give a really serious thought to writing a book, because I think most people tell a good story, and it's a nice thing to do for your family.
And well, personal stories are also good, but, you think, well, nobody really wants to hear about my life or something, but maybe your life is just what they want to hear about.
Exactly
Because
right.
it's
Yeah.
what maybe they are experiencing and they see how you, whether it's a tragedy or whether it's,
But it's
whatever
your
it is.
life, right?
Yeah.
So if it's your great-great-great-granddaughter, that's going to mean a lot to her.
Yeah, and I have nothing from my family. I mean, it's like, one of those things. I had a grandmother who was illiterate. I mean, those were the days,
Sure.
where they,
Sure.
women didn't learn,
Right. And I think one thing.
As long as they could bear kids and keep
Yeah, they were
the stove going.
trying to survive,
Yeah.
right? And so, I think our time has a little easier go of it for most people, and recording that stuff is probably helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of the written word and a legacy. And I've done a number of stories that have been published, actually, that tell a story of personal stuff, and people have commented that it was such great stuff
Right.
because it was real.
Right, exactly right.
It was real.
And you touch people doing that,
Yeah,
so that's
yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, so keep up writing.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I love your posts on Facebook. You're amazing. He can find the strangest things to put on, and I'm going, is that really real? Where did you find that?
When you don't have adult leadership, then this is what happens.
He needs a keeper. I'm going to talk to Lisa. Okay, good.
All right.
Thanks so much for being here. I
Yeah,
love
my
your
good
book. It's really great. And his book is, I know this looks bad, but it's a great book because it's an easy read, a good summer read, because you can pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down, and you can use in any room of the house, right?
Thanks, Ed. This is always great fun with you.
Yeah, fun to have you
cheers.
on. We're going to switch over to our next guest, and we're going to be talking about childcare. Destiny Watkins is with us, and thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yeah, and Community Loan Fund. I was surprised when I see Community Loan Fund and childcare. What? Oh. What happened?
Yeah, it's a little surprising, but it's right in line with where we want to go and help
Absolutely.
people develop their businesses. So we've traditionally run an 8-week or 9-week business course where we have people go through the different phases of development for a plan. But now in current times, people are trying to go back to work and having issues finding childcare. There is a lot
We
of
need
need.
more childcare
Yeah,
workers.
there's a lot of need, a lot of people that are looking to start childcare businesses, but they may just not have that business development or that background to make their business sustainable.
And the demands that are required, if it's in
Yes.
your home, they have all these requirements that you have to do. So let's talk about some of them.
Yes, it's definitely something that's daunting if you're not familiar with the licensing requirements and all of that sort of stuff. So we are partnering with Bright Side Up on this, and the community loan fund, we're kind of taking the reins on this is how you budget and figure out your accounting and your business plan, and Bright Side Up is going to
Do
assist
you need a
us.
business plan for something as simple as live childcare?
You absolutely do. You absolutely do. It helps you
I'm being
plan
facetious.
out. No, I know. People ask me that question a lot of the
Yeah.
times, and I answer it by absolutely. It helps you have like a roadmap to figure out like where your business is going. Should you take on additional children? Can you afford more employees and different things like that? A lot of people don't think about the day-to-day. They just get stuck in doing the service of their business. So we're looking to we've put together, it actually just piloted last week, so it'll be a 9-week course to run people through the different topics of running a childcare, including regulations and legislation issues if they need to be registered with Office of Child Family Services, or if they're just doing a drop-in service where they don't need certain licensing. So walking people through the different pieces of that.
What is a drop-in?
So drop-in daycare is more of where it would be like shorter term hours, where it's just like maybe a few hours a day that folks are watching.
I just work in the
people's
mornings.
children.
Can I drop my?
Yeah, so something like that. Not necessarily, a full-time slot 7 days a week or 5 days a week or whatever. Or it's just sometimes it's after-school programs where you're just watching the kids for maybe 2 to 3 hours. They're doing activities there.
I had to have 2 sitters at one time when it was like for the day, and then it was after school because they were done there and I had to switch. Yeah, and I was working full-time,
Yeah, it's definitely hard. It's really hard to navigate.
And
Pricing
then
is
it's not
expensive.
it's just not those hours. It's getting there, dropping them off, getting to work, coming back, and picking them up, and then
you have your finger on the pulse with the dilemma there. It's really hard. So just helping people figure that out, and maybe reimagining what their childcare center or in-home daycare might look like.
So either it's in-home, or else you can say rent a storefront or something and have it in a storefront. Would the regulations be different in each?
They absolutely are. So in-home daycares, they have different requirements. You can have a different number of kids there per adult. You have to, get your space inspected and things like that. With a commercial center, you really have to be in a certain commercial space. They do have to come in, and you're having 2 inspections. So one from OCFS, but also one from the county or municipality where you're located to double check your location. It's a lot more that goes into a center. Obviously, you can house more kids and do different programming, but you really need to be prepared for that, understand real estate and what you're looking for.
And it's really, from what you're telling me, I mean years ago it was like, I have a neighbor and she watches kids, and maybe she's taking care of about 2 or 3 different kids, so it was no big, we didn't think about licensing or, and we trusted them because we knew them and everything. Things are different now.
Yes.
And of course there's the health care you're worried about. You hear about people, well, my kid's sick, but I have to go to work, so I'm dropping them off, and that then makes every other kid get sick.
Yeah.
So these are all things that are addressed.
Yeah, so understanding policies and procedures, how to vet your employees, making sure that they're getting background checks and fingerprinting, and that they're eligible to be around kids. Those are things that parents are concerned about. Also working with people through their curriculum. People are really potentially concerned about what their children are learning and preparing them for pre-K, depending on the age of the child, or their next grade, providing tutoring services.
So it can't be just warehousing.
Yeah, it's a lot of things that a lot of parents are, things that maybe we didn't think about before, but now, we're starting to consider, and we want, programs with these extra aspects, and we might be willing to pay a little bit more, or we might be able to get subsidies from New York State, which, you would need to be registered in order to collect, making sure your parents are signing up for these things. So walking people through all of those things. Our traditional business class is a little bit more open-ended because it's really for any industry, but this one is really dug right into childcare and the legislations and the things you should consider.
So when you talk about starting this up as a business, I would assume you're still looking at things like insurance.
Yes.
And I don't think that a lot of people, they're thinking, oh, I love kids, I just want them to come over and then you say, well, wait a minute, I don't like the way your stove is set up, it's too close to whatever, and do you have a bar there, or do you have a protection here? All those things have to be considered in your home, if it's your home.
Yeah.
Or anywhere.
And in your commercial space. Yep, so that's part of also your inspection and stuff. And so Bright Side Up is an organization where they help individuals that want to get into the childcare industry, that want to do centers or in-home daycares, and they walk them kind of step by step through what they need, CPR classes and different things like that.
CPR, I never thought about
that. Yeah, last thing you want to do is get that phone call where your child needed the Heimlich or something and nobody knew how to do it. So, kids get into things. So just all of those sorts of things are what we're going to be walking people through.
And how about food? Because, I mean, if you have the kid all day, then you have to think about maybe breakfast or lunch
Yeah,
or
and
snack.
if your business is going to provide that, or if that's going to be the responsibility of the parents, so some
they
of
can
that is
bring their own.
figuring that sort of things out. But what if
Yeah, it
some
seems
kids
to
have
me-
allergies? You know, you may not want parents to send, you know, their own food. You may want a specific menu to, you know, battle some of that.
Yeah, because of allergies and gluten-free and this, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot that goes into it, and I think sometimes it gets overlooked, like how small details actually matter, particularly when you have
You
people's
have just
children.
opened up my eyes, like, I just did not even realize that there was so much. I mean, I guess if I sat down and thought about it, it would come to me. What would the startup for a business like this be? I mean, if suppose I wanted to do this, I mean, I don't, but what if I did? I mean, how much money should I have available? Because you don't just start up a business because you want to start up a business. You have to have some collateral or get a loan or do something, and you have to have, you know, some equity or something. So how do you do this?
Yeah, you definitely do. Part of that, going back to should you write a business plan, these are all the things that you consider in there. We help you figure out your financials by investigating, you know, what age group of children are you looking for and what equipment is required. You know, you kind of total that up.
Oh, yeah, you gotta buy stuff, yeah.
Definitely. You need certain equipment, you need certain fixtures and things like that for your space. On average, I found, you know, that maybe like a startup center, if they're looking in-home, that could be probably around $5,000 to $10,000. If you're looking at a center or a more commercial space, the number will go up based off of, you know, your location, but on probably around 30 to 50, depending on what sort of programming.
It's a business. It's a business.
It definitely
it's
is.
like opening up a restaurant or anything else. It's simply a business.
And the cost depends on, you know, how in-depth your plan is, what services you want to provide, and different things like that, how you're accepting payments. You know, are you looking for families on services or private pay? Those sorts of things, all considerations.
Do you expect, okay, here's the other question I have. I know that I'm asking a lot of questions, but what do you do, like a marketing research? Are there kids in your neighborhood? Are there kids in the area? I mean, maybe you're an adult center, you know, so, I mean, how do you?
I find a lot of people think, you know, because there's such a need for childcare, you don't have to advertise, but you do. You have to talk about your programs and what would make you different from, you know, the center down the street, but you also want to figure out where the kids that you're servicing are coming from. Do they need to be bused? Do they need to be driven? Are the parents that you're targeting, you know, can they drive their kid, you know, 5 miles when there's, you know, a place around the corner? So definitely some of that research comes into play with that as well.
So you're not going to pick a place that's 5 miles out of town because it's got a perfect view of the mountains.
Not unless you're getting
something.
bus service for the schools.
So it's pretty important that so many things are taken into consideration. So I don't know. Can you do that in 9 weeks? I don't know. It seems to me
we are definitely up to the challenge. We've been doing this for quite a while, and if anything, we give people a really good place to start. We also provide one-on-one mentoring for free individually with each individual. Everyone's going to be at different placements. We've also had some people that have enrolled in the class that actually run centers, but you know, they're really great at watching kids, but they may not have that business knowledge in terms of, I need to figure out how to write cash flow projections so I can figure out if I can take an additional child and still cover my employee costs and different stuff. So we've gotten a different range of people that are
you have
interested in
opened
this.
my eyes as to what it takes to open up a daycare or childcare center. And I guess I knew that if I sat down and think about it, but to actually talk to you and hear all that, it's like, this could be daunting for some people, but I think that you do the hand-holding and you get them some support emotionally. And of course, you are a community loans fund, right?
Yes. So we also provide and help small businesses with startup funding. So hopefully if folks need, you know, equipment or things to start up their business, we can hopefully provide that as well.
Or
for
network.
them.
Yeah.
Definitely. Connecting them to resources is our main goal.
Destiny, you have quite a job.
I love it.
I know you do. And you're also you're in part of the tech
Technical, yep.
Yeah, so you got your hands full.
I definitely do.
Please come back again.
I would love to.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
Talk about another program that you have.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, good. Thank you so much. That was Destiny Watkins, and she is from the Community Loan Fund, and we're going to find out more. We've learned about that childcare. Now we're going over to one of, oh my God. Hi, good to see you, Paulette.
Good to see you.
Yes, and my goodness, Five Rivers, you've been around a while.
Yes. absolutely.
Yeah, and Gina, you are the director of
I'm the
that.
center director
and
at
Paulette
Five
is
Rivers.
the Friends of, so
Yes.
you're two different organizations. but
Right, we work in partnership.
You're joined
Right.
at the hip.
Right,
Yes,
yeah, I'm a
we
state
are.
employee. I work for New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and so Five Rivers is a DEC facility. But we have this wonderful long-term, 50 years now, partnership working with the Friends of Five Rivers. And Paulette is their latest
Development officer.
development
Yeah.
officer. So
Okay, well, let's talk about Five Rivers.
Okay,
I know it's in Delmar.
yes.
What can you boast about it? Do we
It-
have 2
it's-
hours here? Yeah. Okay.
Well,
50 years worth.
I like to say it's close, you know, it's everybody's backyard. I think for a lot of people during the pandemic, it's been an oasis. They got tired.
You're outside.
You're outside. There's 10 miles of trails, 450 acres of property. There's a variety of habitats. The trails are wide enough during the pandemic. They were wide enough people could, you know, pass each other on the path and be maskless and be comfortable. And it wasn't the rail trail. And the rail trail is lovely, but it's different. It's natural setting. It's a premier birding location in the Capital District. Plus or minus, we don't allow dogs. So
Well, if you're a birder, you don't want.
if you're a birder,
yeah.
if you want to see wildlife in a natural setting,
You don't want a dog
you don't.
with you.
Yeah, dogs are not compatible with that. Of course, if it's a service animal, that's fine.
Well,
That's
our
absolutely
service animals
accepted.
are trained differently.
Correct.
I mean, they're not going to try and run off and.
Yeah, and it's an extension of the person that it is serving.
Exactly.
So service animals are permitted, but emotional support animals, I'm sorry, no.
Well, that's kind of
Yeah.
one of those
But,
thingies.
you know, for families exploring or individuals, there's just so much variety there.
Is there a charge?
No, it's free. You pay with your state taxes.
I know, and don't we do that? We do that quite well.
And it's open year round. So the grounds are open every single day of the year from sunrise to sunset. The visitor center is open Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. The visitor center is closed on Sundays and is closed on state holidays. But there's so much time and opportunity
What would
for
I see in
exploring.
the visitor center? We're going to get to you, Paula.
No, it's okay.
I'm not ignoring you, dear.
Inside the visitor center, there's an exhibit area, and so we have hands-on, we say hands-on, but interactive exhibits, so stuff to manipulate. When families come in, I'll tell the kids that the rules for exploring the visitor center are, if you see a button, push it. If you see a drawer, open it up and look inside. You can touch anything you want except for the taxidermy, the stuffed animals.
Yeah.
And don't forget to crawl on the floor underneath the terrarium because there's a surprise there and you can touch it too. It's only plastic.
Oh.
And if adults want to go under and they need help, I'll help pull them back up. But we also have some live animals in the visitor center. We have a couple of turtles, a garter snake, and Argo, who is a barred owl, who is popular. And when I left today to come here,
You should have brought them with you.
no. When I left to come here, the visitor center was full with families and individuals exploring on their own. Lately, I think maybe because the weather's been so gorgeous, we seem to be getting a lot of visitors coming from group homes within the community.
Nice, yeah.
It's a great destination. Come in and explore the visitor center and then go for a walk. Oh,
Okay.
the other thing that people love, we have an observation beehive.
Oh, I love beehives.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
to
so
see how
it's
those
very-
little workers work.
It's very soothing.
Can we get to see the queen, or is she hiding?
If you look carefully, you may see her, but our hive has two sets of frames with a space in the
Okay,
middle.
so
So
they
she
can-
might, if you don't find her, maybe it's not your fault. Maybe she's just between the two
Yeah,
frames.
she's busy procreating, or doing
Yeah.
whatever queen bees do.
Exactly.
Paulette,
Yes.
why do they need a friend?
We are the nonprofit support arm for Friends, or for the Five Rivers Environmental Education Center. So we do work in partnership. We help provide education and stewardship support. I started there a few months ago, And when I started, I thought, oh, you know, Five Rivers. My kids went there when they were in the 5th grade on a field trip through the guided school program, which is a program that the Friends runs. But when I started, I thought, oh my goodness, my kids are now 19 and 21. We haven't been back since. What a shame and what a waste.
We forget sometimes.
We forget. I live in Niskuna. This is in Delmar. It's not that far.
No.
It's really a hidden gem.
Just down 85, right?
Right,
Yeah.
for our region. And my son would have loved the trails and the streams and the wildlife and the birding growing up. I mean, he still lives in the area, so I'm trying to encourage him now.
Yeah.
You have to go. You're going to love it. And the visitor center especially. I mean, on rainy days when my kids were growing up, we would go to the New York State Museum, which is wonderful. But the visitor center, which is a couple of years old now, the new...
2017, June of 2017 we opened.
Yes, so it's amazing. I mean, just to see the faces of the young children there in awe when they walk in the visitor center. And I thought, oh, what a shame my child would have been one of them. I think he still would be at the age of 21.
Do they have like lectures, or do they
Yes.
have, I mean, I'm kind of equating this to the Pine Bush because they do
Right.
something quite similar. I mean, but it's a
Yes.
different area.
Yes.
But it's kind of, you remind me that you really are enriching kids.
Right.
Kids and the community.
Yeah, the interesting thing is Friends of Five Rivers does programming, but so does the DEC end of the operation.
Right.
And so we run programs for the public on weekends, on Saturdays, and so I'm going to be there this Saturday. But we also will do evening programs. Friends is doing things during the week and in the evenings as well. And then when
So
we
you
have-
work together. In other words, you're not going to
Yes.
duplicate.
We do,
Right.
and we're doing a lot of friend raising right now because it is our 50th anniversary year.
Isn't that
We were
something?
founded
The
in
50th, when I saw that, it was like in
1972.
September,
Yes.
you're having a big, is it October?
Yeah,
When
it's
is it?
September. So,
September.
of course, the grounds have been around a very long time, starting
Yeah,
with a farm
probably
and a
since
game farm and
eternity.
the Delmar Zoo and the Wildlife Research Center, but in 1972, it became the Five Rivers Environmental Education Center.
How did I get the name Five Rivers?
I was waiting for that
Yes.
question.
You knew I was
Yes,
coming up with
that's
that
the
one.
most
Well, it's
common
funny
question.
because children will ask that question and they'll ask
Oh.
it, you know,
Well,
very.
adults do too.
But adults
Yes,
do too, but
yes.
adults always ask with a sort of an embarrassed voice, but kids are very curious about it. And it's a great question because it comes back to something Paulette said. We serve the whole of the Capital District. The Five Rivers are the Five Rivers in the Capital District. Think of the major rivers. It's the Hudson, Mohawk, Hoosic, Sacandaga, and Schoharie.
Right.
Oftentimes, children will come and say, well, where are the Five Rivers, thinking that they're somewhere on site.
Oh, they all met
We
together.
have two. We have the Vlomenkill and we have the Philippinkill, which are fun to explore, but
And
they're
I
not
live
the
on the
five.
Lyshkill, so
Yeah.
there you go.
And the Five Rivers name comes from
I love
one
the
of the
name.
original founders, or the original, one of the original board members for the Friends of Five Rivers, Vincent Schaefer, who was.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, so
I mean, I
he
knew
wrote
him, yeah.
a series of columns
Lived on
for
Skimmerhorn Road,
for the
and-
Knickerbocker News.
Yeah.
And his series was called Five Rivers Rambles.
Oh, okay.
And the working title, when there were discussions about forming an environmental education center as the Delmar Experimental Game Farm was closing, the working title was Capital District Environmental Education Center.
Boring.
That's what I say.
Boring.
But Five Rivers, that says to me, there's something I can do, there's something I can explore, and it's here for me because I'm in this big area.
Exactly.
So it really is an apt name.
Yeah.
So we have a wonderful history book put together, Five Rivers, the history
And you do
of
have a river on
special
there, by the way.
place. Yes, so this was published a few years ago by Friends, and it's a wonderful book, and it talks about the complete history, not just the 50 years, but prior to that, and how everything came about. So it's a wonderful book that's for sale at our bookstore and gift shop.
Okay,
along with
stop by there and check it out.
Yeah, along
Yeah.
with a lot of other merchandise that we sell, including these earrings, which are recycled earrings
Oh.
out of cereal
Look at
boxes.
that. Get out.
Yeah.
Oh, let me
so-
look. Excuse me.
So
What is it?
they're
love
recycled, made from cereal
Cereal boxes.
boxes.
Stop.
Yes. So Friends, we're doing a lot of friend raising again, like I said, this year. We just had a presentation by a poet talking about how to capture nature poetry. We're conducting creative nature expression exhibits every month with a theme, and it's in one of the classrooms of the visitor center. In May, it was photography. In June, it was quilting, and this month is mixed media with an emphasis on poetry, and next month is also mixed media, and we have a local artist, Noreen Powell,
amazing.
that's going to be speaking. So we offer this to the public at no charge. We do have some
Really?
programs that
Oh
we
my
do charge
goodness.
for. We have some
Yeah.
August art days
Well,
coming
if you
up.
have to pay the
where they can walk
presenter,
around
yeah.
with an artist, again, Noreen Powell or Carol Kogut, and do some nature sketching. We are charging for that. But we primarily are funded through membership. So we encourage people to not only visit Five Rivers, but consider becoming a member of Friends of Five Rivers, so we can in turn continue
it on.
passing it on from generations.
Pass it forward. Play it forward, yeah.
Right, environmental education programs, our guided school programs, supporting the visitor center and the DEC and what they do.
The important thing really is that through COVID and everything, people were looking for things to do and they wanted to be outside, and this
Right.
is,
And our programming is outside, you know, I would say 90% of our programming is outdoors and wholly outdoors, especially the school programs. Those kids arrive on the school bus, they get off the bus, they maybe use the restroom if they need to, but they never go inside a building. They spend 2 hours exploring outdoors, making use of the scientific method as they explore, ties back into what they're doing in the classroom. The kids
what
have
a
great
wonderful
time.
educational, I mean, we
Oh,
got to get back
yeah.
to the earth, I mean, and
Yes.
the environment. I mean, we have kind of like, I don't know what's happened, but we've got to get back to protecting our environment.
And I think-
and to raising the awareness from children on up, how important, even those little spiders that are running around, don't kill them, you know, they're there to do their job.
And there's families this week who are learning all about spiders, so perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I
For
never
our Friends
kill a
of Five
spider, I carry it
Rivers.
outside. Here, go on, baby. Go get an aphid.
We're currently holding our summer nature weeks for 2 to 8-year-olds
Yeah.
right now. So it's a very family-friendly
We need to
place.
get kids back and get
And-
them off their little whatever they're holding
Right.
in their hands and get onto earth.
So we do have our big event coming up on September 17th, which is
That's
our
your
fall
50th,
festival.
yeah, and-
Our annual
And I
Five
think we
Rivers
had
Fall
that up
Festival.
there on the screen. There
Yes.
I brought
So-
in a couple of pictures from previous fall
Yeah.
festivals.
Yep, I think we've had those up there.
Yeah.
I haven't been looking at the screen, I've just been.
So no admission, parking is free. We have a lot of activities for people of all ages. So we encourage people to attend that event, learn more about Five Rivers, learn more about Friends of Five Rivers.
I'll have to
consider
add some of your
membership
free events to
with
my,
us.
I send out a weekly, thing with, list all the free events in the
Yes.
area. I'll have to add some of yours to
Yeah,
it.
and one of the things that I'd like to say is, you know, for some people from the city of Albany, they may have difficulty getting to Five Rivers. CDTA has worked with the Mohawk Hudson Land Conservancy, and DEC is a funding partner in this as well. There's a nature bus
Oh,
now
wonderful.
that runs on Saturdays during the summer
Perfect.
months from. It has a route that goes through downtown Albany, and then
Gotta publicize
comes
that,
to
yeah.
Five Rivers every other Saturday. The Saturdays that it doesn't come to Five Rivers, it goes all the way out to Thatcher Park.
Oh,
And the Land
Perfect.
Conservancy has information about the nature bus on their website, so to learn more, you just go to,
I'm not aware of it, and I'm really glad you mentioned that to us.
yeah,
Yes,
that's been
thank
a
you.
really great service. And for people who don't have their own transportation,
Yeah.
it's been wonderful.
Yeah.
Last year, they tried it for the first year,
Successful.
successful, and
Building.
and this year, it's really grown. It's good to see, yeah.
I want to thank you both for being here and to
Thank
you.
telling our viewers and myself a little bit more about Five Rivers.
It was
Our
a
theme
pleasure.
this year is connection through nature.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
we encourage
I'm with you.
everybody to
I'm with you.
come on out and visit us.
Good. We're going to take a switch and go to the
Thank you.
Appalachian Trail now.
Thank you.
And I have Malcolm Kogut on us, and he's a trail angel.
Yes.
Yes. Where's your wings?
Well, I'll get them eventually.
I think so. Yeah, eventually. Tell me what you do, because I was not aware of this. And the Appalachian Trail. How long is the Appalachian Trail? And do most people do the whole thing?
Oh, well, the trail is approximately 2,200 miles long.
You're not going to do that in a day.
No, it takes most hikers, well, between 3 and 6 months to hike the entire trail.
And do they really do that? They must take off from work?
They do, but sadly only about maybe 1,300 actually make it to the
really?
end.
Well, it's a
because-
commitment with time
Yeah, and time.
and expenses, because you got to stay somewhere.
It can be very expensive. Well, most of them, hopefully, they sleep in tents or they cowboy camp, which is sleeping out under the stars. And but they do go into towns on occasion to get a shower, a hot meal, and
that's
resupply.
right, showers.
Yeah, yeah. You can bathe in a stream or pond or a lake, but it's not the same. And they will try to get into towns when they can. They stay at hostels too, and there are a lot of hostels peppered throughout the length of the trail. And
Now, is the trail, okay, so I'm trying to envision this. So when you talk about a trail, I envision this as, because I've seen your videos, they're in kind of a wilderness area. How do you get to town? I mean, is there like a little path that says this way, 10
Yeah.
miles to town?
yeah, all of the hikers have maps and apps, and they study them, and they know exactly where they need to be, and if there's a town they want to get to, they know how to get there. But some
And I'm
of the,
sure they support each other in telling them, yeah.
Oh, definitely. The hikers know everything within a 25-mile radius, and somehow word spreads. And I don't know how, but it does. Probably through the apps, they can leave information on the forums, or they pass other hikers who will give them information.
Good. And I love the photos, and I love your videos, and I've said that before. But since you're a trail angel, what does an angel do?
They perform trail magic, and magic is an unexpected act of kindness. It can come in the form of food, or just leaving water or food in coolers along the side of the trail, or if somebody is hiking the trail on a day trip and you come across an AT hiker, you may offer them food that you're carrying, or you may offer to take their trash. That's
And I noticed that
Big
you
magic.
sometimes offer to give them a ride.
Yeah, yeah.
If they're in town or something.
Yep. When we do trail magic, if we see this homeless-looking man walking up the road, we will offer a ride, because sometimes the trail can be as far as 8 or 15 miles away from a town.
Really?
Yeah, so
So
when...
they not only do this big hike, they got to go do the offshoots.
Yeah. So in towns like Manchester is a very friendly town, and when people are driving down the road, if they see a hiker, they will just stop and ask if they want to ride. And so they are trail angels too. Some of them will even say, do you need a bed to sleep in for
Yeah,
the night?
yeah. Or use my backyard to set
Oh,
up your
that
tent
too.
or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So how do they handle food? Because how much can you carry in your backpack?
They want to carry as little as possible, because food
It's heavy.
is heavy, yeah. And so they'll study the maps to see where they can resupply. But trail angels play an important role, because if we can provide some food, that's one less town they may have to stop in.
And this is the amazing thing that I think I heard from you, Malcolm, or somewhere, that they can burn up 10,000 calories a day.
Yeah. They are Olympic athletes, really. They walk from sunup to sundown, so they're burning a lot of calories. And after about 3 weeks on the trail, they develop what's called hiker hunger. And that simply means they cannot satisfy their hunger. They will eat a full meal and minutes later feel hungry again, because their body is just processing the food so fast.
I can't even imagine what that's like. How many miles do they do a day? I mean, that may vary, obviously.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. The average hiker starts off by doing 8 or 10 miles a day, and it slowly increases. But once they get what's called their
stride?
trail legs,
Yeah.
they will start increasing to 15 to 30, and sometimes up to 40 or 50 miles a day.
Wait a minute. If you can do 4 to 6 miles
Well, it depends
an
on the
hour-
terrain.
Yeah.
Depends on the terrain.
I'm just thinking like 4 miles an hour is pretty good, isn't
Well,
it?
there's also a couple of challenges, like the 4-state challenge, where hikers would challenge themselves to hike 40 miles in one day. And it might
And then drop dead after.
it might take them 24 hours to do it.
Oh, okay, so they go
They will-
straight through.
they
They're
will
gonna
hike-
push themselves.
Yeah, they will.
Okay, so what kind of foods, I mean, if someone really was watching and wanted to donate some food to you, because I know that you do the trail magic, what should they think about collecting?
High-calorie food. Hikers will...
None of that low-fat,
No diet soda. They want the calories, they want sugar, they want fat, they want the carbs, but they also crave fruits and vegetables. A salad, they would love to have a salad, but they would not waste time or money on a salad because
It doesn't give them
it
what
doesn't
they
give
need
them
to
what they
keep going.
really need. Yeah, but if they find it in Trail Magic, for instance, they will just wolf it down. They will enjoy it.
Yeah, and I know that I saw, actually, I think it was Barbara that brought some vegetables, didn't you?
Yes, Barbara has supplied a lot of food for us. Let's see, one time 80 ears of corn, a big tray of
Well,
blueberries.
wait a minute, what do you do with 80 ears of corn?
Well-
You eat them raw?
No, I pre-boil it and,
Okay.
and I put it in a cooler so they eat it cold.
Oh, I love cold corn.
Oh, yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
And so they'll, when we have 80 ears of corn, they'll eat 3 or 4 of them at one sitting.
Are they pretty good at realizing? Now, when you do a trail magic, is this like for one group, or do you wait until another group comes? Or
Oh,
how
no,
do you
they
do
just
that?
come out of the woods. They
So
come out
you-
of the woodwork.
Okay, so you could be there, say, for
We're there for
3
about
hours?
9 hours.
9 hours.
Sit there for about 9 hours.
And people will come and go, come and go.
Constantly, yeah. Actually, we set up around 7 a.m. and we've already missed probably 15 or 20 hikers.
Okay, now, are they pretty good at not scarfing everything?
Well, they're very polite. They will take one of everything and will sometimes say, take 4. But they will wolf it down very quickly.
Okay.
And it's really fun to watch them because sometimes they'll have 3 things in their hand and they'll eat like a hot dog, take a bite of a banana and sip their soda all at the same
Well,
time.
and I noticed your photos. I don't know if they brought the photos up while we were talking. I guess I wasn't looking. But in there, I see chairs and things. I mean, do
Yes.
they carry those or do you?
No, we bring chairs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I wondered, if you look at that, and there's some donuts up there, and then
Yeah.
you see the people. And it's like, it seems pretty organized.
We are very organized, and recently we've been getting a lot of compliments that we have the best trail magic the entire length of the trail.
Is that right?
I don't believe it, but that's what they say.
Yeah. And I think in one of your pieces that you sent out, you said that some people will, if they've got a little extra, they throw a little change in so that you can buy something else.
Yeah, we never ask for money, but a lot of hikers want to repay
Repay.
and give us
Pay
something.
it forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. I got to applaud what you do. And really, do you have a YouTube channel that you have?
I have a YouTube channel. You could go to YouTube and look under my name, and you should be able to find
Malcolm
it.
Kogut.
Yeah, my name plus the word Trail Magic.
With Trail
And it
Magic.
should
Yeah,
come
check
up.
it out because you will love the films. If we were able to, we would be playing some of the video, but it gets a little bit complicated doing it here. But thank you so much. I want to tell you who's coming on next in August. We have Habitat for Humanity, A Place for Jazz, the Scottish Games, they're coming. And then the Stockade Art Show, and we are going to be talking about the Van Gogh immersion and finding out how that all came about. I want to thank you all for watching. I tell you, I just love doing the show because there are so many great people in our community and so many great things going on, and you heard about much of that during this show. And I also want to give a big shout out to the crew that comes in and does this show, and they do all the behind the scenes. I'm sitting in front of the camera, and I got to say, Malcolm, who we just talked to, is my associate producer. So I'm just really pleased to have him as part of my team and what he does for Trail Magic. He's a little trail angel, but he's also my little angel here too. So thank you so much. Thanks for watching. I'm Ann Perillo, your host for Capital Region today, and we look just forward to seeing you the next time.